The World Is Not Enough, a Bond film that is fun, but it's very stupid. Like many Bond films, it ventures into really fun territory. And here's the thing, when we get to the Brosnan Bond films, I think a lot of people will go, oh, they're getting faster paced now. They're getting exciting. Once we actually got to Timothy Dalton, we started getting somewhere with like real story, real movement. The Roger Moore films were so seated in this kind of comedy that it became hard to kind of bring seriousness out. So they did that, and then it was very difficult to go from Moore to Dalton, big hiatus, and then he was replaced by Pierce Brosnan after 6 years, starting with Goldeneye, and then we moved to Tomorrow Never Dies, and then The World Is Not Enough. The World Is Not Enough is a film starring Denise Richards, Sophie Marceau, Pierce Brosnan, Robert Carlyle, and others in this 007 adventure. Um, One of the best things about this movie, I'd have to say, is the Bond girl appearance of Sophie Marceau, because she's just incredible. She's beautiful. She is a great villain, and there's also rarely villains like her nowadays in the Bond films. They're usually men, but also they usually don't have this kind of appeal and dynamic with Bond that he has in this film. That's just a plus to it, and Sophie Marceau is great in the role. She appeared in Braveheart about 4 years before this film and rose to international success with both of them. There's a common casting choice that's talked about in this film. I'll just get into right now because why save it for the end? Denise Richards as nuclear physicist Dr. Christmas Jones. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking. Well, I do know they were thinking she's attractive and everyone will come to see this movie. But it was not a great choice because the lines given to her just do not work. She says at times, I'm a nuclear physicist, doesn't actually take a degree in nuclear physics to learn how to work one of these. And then there's times where there's things happening, like a wall is collapsing, and you see everyone else reacting and turning and running around, and she's just standing there like this, like she's just waiting. I do not like to rip on actresses. I do not like to rip on actors, but I think in this case it's actually appropriate considering the wonderful actresses that have gone to play Bond girls. I mean, I will always turn to the great Léa Seydoux, who just puts on such a great performance in Spectre and hopefully in No Time to Die. Uh, then there's, Eva Green, just in the modern ones I'm naming. But they really are memorable. You remember their performances. And then you look at a performance like Denise Richards. I mean, even in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, the character of Tracy Bond had such a prominent on screen appearance. Bond girls are essential. And they really did an awful job with just one of them in this film. Um, Sophie Marceau's Electra King is the redeeming part of this film because her relationship with Renard, played by Robert Carlyle, is bizarre. It's one of the most bizarre things in this movie. The entire complex plot with like starting a war against petroleum prices, I don't even want to get into it. It's just so complex, and the ridiculousness of the Bond villain of Renard and Electra's plot, it just feels very silly. And the fact that M gets intertwined with this, more significantly. It's one of the more stupider things that Bond has done because anytime where M goes out into the field, more recently with Judi Dench, she's been doing this. She can't just stay at home. She has to come out and say, Mr. Bond, I'm coming to track you down. Now, well, we're going to go get you. You can't just stay and do things yourself. I have to come follow you, end up probably getting hurt. But at the end of the day, you're going to be criticised, 007. So, yeah, Judi Dench somewhat brings the film down, just with the writing. She's great. Um, but that's it. Minor complaints aside, it's a really solid, um, it's a solid comic thriller. It's not, serious Bond. I think the only serious Bond is really Dalton and some of the Connerys, and more recently the Craig films. They felt very grounded and Yeah, Sean Connery had some really campy moments, like when he freaking pretends to be Japanese. Oh my god! But overall, this feels the world is not enough. Feels way more campy and in line with those older, silly Bond moments, like the sillier events in the Bond Connery series, like Diamonds Are Forever, and some of the Roger Moores than it does with GoldenEye or Craig films. So it's enjoyable. It just is really fucking stupid at times. Sophie Marceau is the takeaway of this film, in my opinion, and Denise Richards, mm, performance. I said because I'm trying really hard not to be mean. Yeah, so this is just an enjoyable movie.